G'day and welcome to Daily Insights Storytelling with me, Moon Willow. To start with, I'd like you, if you wouldn't mind, just hitting that subscribe button so that you know when I put out a new one. I had a query and just sort of just want to pass on a little bit more information. I always go here be dragons for most of my life. I've had a special affinity with dragons, and I feel their energy quite strongly, more and more so as the older I get. Um, there's a lot of out there at the moment of unicorns and dragons and other mythical creatures that have been a part of our storytelling and where we are in the universe for centuries now. A lot of cultures have their dragons in different ways, but I tend to have more of an affinity with Western dragons. The Eastern dragons, although are beautiful, I just don't seem to have such a connection with it. So my dragons, and I feel that I have a couple of dragon energies around me. They are Western dragons. One's a bluish colour, and I'm not entirely sure what the other one is, but I know that as I'm doing these storytellings, that their energies are very much present for me throughout. And it's almost like it's them at the end when I'm bringing through the sound at the end of this. It's their vibrations that want to come through, so it's almost like I'm channeling their energy to come through, just to trigger a feel good and a clearing on a vibrational auric level. So I hope that sort of makes a little bit more sense. If not, please put a comment in the comment section and I will try and explain it a little bit more clearly. It's something, as I say, that's been around for me for a long time, and it's not something that I express on a regular basis. So it's very I know that they've been there and a part of me for so long, and I'm just fully allowing them to come through for me. So that's why I always say here be dragons, because from my perspective, my dragons are always a part of everything that I do. So I hope that helps. The other thing I just want to mention before I go into today's storytelling is that I also offer readings, and you can find me on my website, which is www.moonwillow.net, and there's a section in there that you can contact me if you'd like a reading specifically for yourself, as opposed to my daily storytellings, which is for all of us. And again, I really feel that your energy in watching this is really impacting on the way that the readings go and the way that the stories go. So with that, I'm going to start by picking up my trusty crystal bag. So again, I'd like you all just to focus for a couple of seconds on the bag, just to see sort of which crystal and which part of our chakra system is a little bit wanting to be heard, basically. So for the past 2 days, as we know, throat's been very prevalent, and prior to that we had our heart. So we'll see which one wants to come out today. And that one jumped into my fingers. We're back to green aventurine. So we're going completely between heart, back up to throat, back throat twice, back to green aventurine. So again, sort of sitting with our truth and sitting back and aligning very much with our heart, and how secure we feel in such a turbulent world that we're living in at the moment. There's so much different pieces of information that's coming through from various sources, and that can actually cause some distress and some anxiety and some uncertainty. But if we come back to where our heart is and just sit there, I do feel that we will start to hear and feel the vibration that's right for ourselves. So I would imagine at the end as well that the sound that comes out will actually be directed mainly towards our heart chakras as well, just to give it a bit of a clearing along the way. So for today's cards, again, I'd like you just to focus on the cards as I'm shuffling so that it comes through for all of us. And they keep trying to jump out. That feels about right. And then again today I'm going to split. Don't ask me how many times I'm splitting these, because there is quite a few going off there. Okay, so today's cards. Okay, so we have the garden, our heart coming up with the heart crystal, and a whip. So let the storytelling begin. So the first one is a garden, and that's about gatherings, which I understand around the world is quite difficult at the moment to gather in person. And that's possibly making a lot of us feel quite, I know for me, it's making me feel quite heart weary that I'm unable to go just to where I want to go without having to think about the impacts of where I go, is whether that's going to be available, whether that's going to be all right for me. Is that going to make me feel more anxious? Is that going to cause me problem or distress within my heart chakra? Because we can overthink as well, and what's coming through at the moment is that it's about coming out of our brain, coming out of our logic, trying clearing the confusion by coming back into our heart center and trying to work out what's true for us, what's real for us. What else is also coming out within this, especially sort of with the heart next to it, is that out there, it's like we've had a lot taken away from us recently, especially from a gathering point of view on a personal, although we have now sort of fully accessed the internet. So we have got that ability to connect with people all around the world, which is lovely. But sometimes we just want that human contact and actually feel loved, really. So there's that. But the thing with the there's a lot of ums and ers, and I'm very sorry about that. The thing with the whip is that's about quarrels and sort of quarrels and fights and arguments is what this card pertains to. So it's like, for, I don't know, what's coming through quite strongly for me at the moment is that we're having that internal quarrel with ourselves as to, do we go and do that thing? Do we meet up with someone because that's going to give us comfort and peace within? Or do we actually sit back and sort of go with our logical mind in not going out to anything? So it's that constant sort of quarrel within, especially in the heart chakra. And the reason why I keep going back to the heart chakra is because this is the green aventurine, and it is very much around that heart space. And as I was saying the other day, it is sort of like a self-love, but it's that unconditional love, that even though we're feeling cross and annoyed with everything that's going off, that's okay. We're allowed to feel our feelings. We don't have to squash them down. We are allowed to feel that. But also, as I've been saying for the past couple of days, that it's an awareness that each one of us has a story, that we have our own narrative, that's based and comes from sort of like the place we were born, the culture we were brought up in, and how that actually influences the way we think about our responses, or how we respond or have an internal response to everything that's going off. And that's okay. But it's it's enabling ourselves, as I say, just to sit, to ground, to find that space, that internal space. And in that, I'm thinking this is also to do with nature as well, that it's not just about gathering, but it's also about giving ourselves the space in a really lovely place where we can actually recenter and reconnect, that we feel we are aware of the quarrels, we're aware of the parts of us that get very annoyed with the current situation that's going off out there. And again, that's all right, but it's how do we express that? How do we make that okay, that we don't upset other people at the same time, because they're only reacting and responding from their space, from their way of being as well. So and again, that's okay, because we all have these narratives. And those people that we're interacting with have their own history, have their own way of being, have their own narrative, and that's all right. But that doesn't mean that we have to shut down, that we're not able to feel what we feel. We're entitled to feel what we feel. We're also entitled to express that as well. But I do find that especially if my mind is going too much all over the place, that actually just having a walk around outside in sort of a lovely space, and I'm lucky I have a reserve not far away from me that I walk around, and that just helps me connect my heart back to earth, to Gaia, and to the other energies that are out there, whether that be my dragons or just bird life, or just the sounds of the wind in the trees, that help settle and help me feel a little better. But it also gives me a clarity as to what it is that is actually upsetting me. What is it that makes me feel a little bit cross in the world at that time? So it feels like this particular reading is about a conflict of heart, in our heart space, and how do we actually progress forward within that. And I think that the way that we progress forward sort of more clearly is by giving ourselves space to actually listen to how we're feeling inside, so that we can actually give ourselves self-love, give ourselves that unconditional love, that it's okay to feel how we feel, and then also being aware of that quarrels, and sort of give them a chance to settle, so that when we do meet somebody else from a heart space, that we can actually see them with unconditional love, so that we can actually meet and join them. And in some instances, it's going to be a case of actually not wanting to have contact with that person because it is just too uncomfortable for our heart, that it hurts too much, and that is equally okay. That you're allowed to actually step back and just nurture your own heart. So I hope that makes sense to people out there, that it resonates. And I find it quite intriguing that out of 4 readings, we've had 2 of the Green Aventurine and 2 of the Solidite. So it seems to be that we're just sort of caught between these 2 places at the moment, that it's finding a peace and a love of ourselves within, so that we can actually meet other people from that nice space. But how then do we progress up into our throat to be able to speak our truth without hurting other people? So yeah, so I hope that makes sense to someone out there and helps just sift through a little bit more. And I look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. I haven't forgotten the sound coming through either, so we'll see what comes out today. It's as much of a surprise to me as it is to you listening to this. Oh So, from my heart to your heart, I hope you have a lovely day and look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow.